for this part.
Commented yet on Instagram?
Yeah, we have had people watching. So, all right.
For those of you who are listening.
Hey, good afternoon, everybody, and welcome to the award-winning Get in the Herd podcast presented by the McShin Recovery Resource Foundation. Woo, woo. Today, we have in the studio a very, very special guest, Walter Randall and Jesse Wysocki. And first, I'd like to start off with congratulating my boss, my friend, someone who's an incredible mentor for me, Jesse Wysocki, on celebrating 9 years in sustained recovery. That is amazing. Woohoo! So with that,
it's definitely a miracle. Trust me.
Yeah, one day at a time, right? I know that I'm not going to be talking much during this, so I'm looking forward to hearing what has to be said. Jesse, you want to introduce Walter and go from here?
Yeah, definitely. I would love to introduce Walt. Walt is part of the reason why I got 9 years in recovery. Good friend, good mentor, and in the 12-step realm of things, what we call sponsor. So if I say anything that offends anybody, you can take it up with him. He's taught me everything. So, but with that, I give you Walt. Walt, and just a background. Walt is a certified substance abuse counselor. He works here with us and does CSAC sessions individually and on a group setting. And he also works for another organization as well. And then he also conducts our spiritual service, which happens every Sunday. We have I forgot what it's called. I just say they eat donuts, but there's some kind of
chat and chew.
There we go. Chat and chew at 9 a.m. The problem with that is sometimes I forget to bring the donuts. Happens quite often. But from 9 to 10, it's chat and chew. And then at 10, there's a wonderful service that happens. And we're going to talk a little bit about that today. And then after the service, it's open for any kind of one-on-one or family counsel, anything that y'all want to just talk to Walt about. He's open for about an hour afterwards. So with that, I give you Walt.
Hey, man. Hey, family. Woo, 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 yeah, man. I'm excited, man. Getting in the herd, man. I tell you, I'm excited to be here and everything that's taking place here at the McShin, man. I think it was 2004 when McShin first started, John, and they first started this program here, and just watching from afar. I never saw the day that I'd be here, and you guys welcome me with much love, the support. The ministry, the clinical experience, everything that I have captured over my 25 years in recovery. I am a recovering addict, and to be able to come here and also help serve the community of people that you guys serve, to be a part of it has been definitely an honor, a blessing, a great experience, based on where I come from.
So what are some of the places you worked at in this kind of atmosphere, this field?
Wow. I've been working in the field of addiction for over 22 years now. I started back in 1999 at Rubicon Men's Treatment Center. And what happened was I was working in the field of production in 1994. I was working at this place called Briar's Ice Cream. And Briar's, they closed down. They moved to Hagerstown, Maryland. They wanted to give me a severance package to move or resign, stay here, or whatever. But that last year they told us that we could go back to school. And they'll help us educate ourselves, because working in the field of production, you just go from one production industry to another. And at that time, I was already clean in recovery, and I love the atmosphere of recovery. I remember being in treatment in 1992, and not knowing what H&I stood for, hospital institution, they brought recovery into a treatment facility. And I always wanted to be a counselor, a substance abuse counselor. So at this time when Briars had closed down, they paid our way. They paid for us to go back to school. And I went to J. Sergeant Renner and started my career back then in 1999.
And Rubicon was where you got your first start. That's actually where we first met at, Walt.
Yeah.
Walt, I don't know if Walt knows this, remembers this, right? We was playing basketball.
I probably dunked on you. I remember that.
No. Walt didn't do no dunking back there. He would shoot from the half court line is what he did. But your lip got busted. You don't remember your lip got busted?
Yeah. I still feel it in my. Yeah, I remember.
Yeah. That was our first encounter. What's his name worked there too? It was you and
there was a lot of guys' names. James Bracy, Robert Hobson, a lot of those guys.
And Bernard that had passed away.
Green,
Bernard that's passed away.
That's him.
Yeah, because both of y'all was on the court playing. We was out there balling. I remember you got your lip busted.
Did you bust his lip, Jesse?
I dunked on him. Somebody else bust my lip.
I can't quite remember. I just remember he had to leave and get stitches.
I had to leave and get stitches.
So where else you worked at?
Well, during that time, Jesse, when they paid for me to go to school, and that's what the education experience started. So Rubicon brought me on. I think that was 2001. They brought me on. They brought me on in 2001. I don't know which time around, but that's your treatment experience. But I remember dunking on you in one of those series. I started at Rubicon. I stayed there for 5 years. And what happened, this agency called Virginia Supportive Housing, they came in and they saw me doing a group. And of course, they wrote a number on a piece of paper, slid across the table and asked me to come work for them. So I left Rubicon and I started working for Virginia Supportive Housing as a rehabilitation specialist. And at the same time at Rubicon, I started working at ESI, that was emergency shelter, as a weekend staff doing counseling services there as well. Once I left there, I started working at 507. That was through the veteran program through our ESI. I started doing groups there. Then I ended up at the Daily Planet, and I stayed at the Daily Planet Healthcare Center for 10 years, doing groups there, doing outreach case manager. And just January the 20th of this year be my a year that I had left the Daily Planet, and I've been with Hype Counseling Services now for the last year. And still doing substance abuse counseling. That's what I've always had a heart for. Not only going back to school, being educated in the field, but the working experience as well. So that's
let me ask you a trick question here.
Mm-hmm.
Out of all those places you worked at, what's different with McShin and being here at McShin? Anything different as far as working here? I know Hype's your full-time gig.
Mm-hmm.
You're here, you do a lot for McShin.
Mm-hmm.
Anything that you think would set it apart from what you see?
Yeah, I think here at the McShin here
good question, right?
Yeah, good question. Here at the McShin, when you work with a community of people who do more peer-to-peer connection, it's like what comes from the heart reaches the heart. Mm. And when you're able to sit back and you watch another participant, with 1 day clean or 2 days clean, try to enlighten someone based on what had happened in their relationship with the McShin Foundation. Like, it's so simple to give it away. Just help guide someone, direct someone, tell them what they did yesterday. And for me to be part of that, that I don't have to be educated, that I don't have to study a text, that I don't have to go to school, I don't have to write a paper, but just watch the living experience that actually take place here on a daily basis. I was told that some of this took place at the Healing Place, because that was another facility that I work at on the clinical side, but working here with that peer support here that you guys offer, that makes a great difference. Once you find a community of people who could look at Walt and say, hey, Walt been where we at. This ain't nothing that he learned in the book, in which a lot of stuff I do learn in the book, I bring a clinical approach, but that's not why you guys brought me here. That just comes with me, and we call it your experience. But to actually see the clients or the participant or the consumer, work one-to-one, this is a great atmosphere where I see recovery. We talk about from the bud to the flower, from the caterpillar to the butterfly, to actually see it take place. This is a great place, for that to happen. Yeah.
Yeah. You touched on the holistic approach that happens with recovery, how the clinical side and then the peer-to-peer side. And it's, it's interesting because, that's one thing I love about McShin. I've worked at the Healing Place, went through their alumni at the Healing Place, and I love, I'm forever grateful for that place. And I was at Rubicon as well, the treatment center, and been to some other treatment centers throughout my active use and trying to get it right. And here it's open to so many pathways. Like nothing is just thrown at you. It's not like, hey, you got to go to NA meeting or you got to go to AA, you got to hold your big book up. We're open to everything. And what's cool, like when you came on board, Walt, I couldn't wait for this to come into fruition because now we've been able to open the door on another spiritual plane, where you're able to do that spiritual service.
Yes.
Tell us about that.
Yeah. In my walk with the God of my understanding, I try to have a relationship and I identify him as Jesus Christ, long before I came to a 12-step program. I just ain't understand how, Jesus Christ worked. But once I got to a 12-step program, I had a better understanding, all of the work and all of the wisdom and all of the knowledge, that was imparted to me, but how to make it work, how to apply it, and so I'm glad for the 12-step experience that I had. So coming here to the machine with the religious part I have and a 12-step experience and being 25 years clean, when you guys, y'all brought me on board and, especially during this pandemic and, the clients, the consumer, the residents, whatever you guys call them here, I just call them people, was missing that spiritual, I want to say that spiritual empowerment. Because here at the Machine program, it is a spiritual connection, through the 12-step model, like you said, many pathways of recovery that happen here, so there is that spiritual awareness, but that spiritual empowerment, to be able to celebrate him, to be able to magnify him, and make the God of your understanding bigger than your situation. So when you guys asked me to bring in a spiritual aspect, non-denomination, you guys kept it, so anyone can join us, God just placed on my heart to name it Breaking the Bondage of Addictions. And not just to be so stuck on the drug and the alcohol, because we know it was the drug and the alcohol that got us here. But we talking about dealing with a lifestyle of changes, and for you guys to allow me to come in and just knowing the work I have done over the community, knowing my relationship with different organizations, different agency, and how I've been working here for the last 3 to 4 years with the consumers as a whole, just to bring that ministry, but within that ministry, welcoming all walks of life, age, creed, religious, lack of religious, just to bring that non-denominational approach, man. It has truly been an enlightenment to me, and also me watching the participants, just enjoying me hearing staff, their rebuttal on it, how, they get excited. And look, it's not many organizations that I have ever heard of that do what, the Machine Foundation do and welcome, the many pathways of recovery. I have known of some places have a 12-step in a religious model, but the way that it's embraced here, the way they're received here, I'm excited about it. I'm excited about it. And we are just in the beginning stages. It was through this pandemic, that a lot of things, came out of when we looked at ourselves as being in a, let me say, a depressing stage, a fearful time in life, and how God creates something out of nothing, that continue to give you hope, that continue to give you joy. And that's what I find with Breaking Up the Bondage of Addiction Ministry. A place that anyone could come, and I tell you, man, I could go on and on and on. So go ahead and throw another question at me. I jump on another question, man. Yeah.
I love the question and answers. I love being the one asking the questions, though.
Yeah.
It's always better when I get to ask the questions, especially if it's to you, Walt.
Yeah.
but one thing I do is I listen. I definitely listen when you talk, so I don't mind asking questions to you. Nathan, what's on your mind there, Nathan? I feel like I'm the host right now. Todd, I think you need to invite me to be the host a little more often here.
Jesse, you absolutely should be a host more often. You've got a very calming voice here, and Walter, you should come more often too. I do have a question.
Yeah.
Well, I have two questions. So the first question, I guess, we'll talk about what you're doing on the Sundays.
Okay.
So we've recently, I believe it was last week, was the first week where we broadcast the Sunday. Am I correct?
It's the first week we've done it through McShin. We were kind of in the works and getting going. It has been streamed through there's an actual Facebook page called Breaking the Bondage. So it's been streamed through that, but now we're going to stream it through McShin. Now we're going to do it every Sunday. Todd's got it straight. He's going to start doing it.
Yes.
So not so much a question as more of a shout out to get that in there. And I know, I have a commitment on Sunday morning, so I'm not able to participate, and it's a long standing commitment that I value very much.
Oh, hold on. What's commitment is that? Because there's nothing more important.
Well, let me help him too, Jesse, because you are committed. Yeah. You are committed. Oh, yeah. Sunday is a day of celebration, the commitment that everyone here at the McShin Foundation participate with the community of people you guys serve. Mm-hmm. So you are committed to the work.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah.
Sunday is a celebration of the commitment. Now you can come and celebrate what you do with us on Sunday a little more. We would like that.
He's probably working. Nathan stays here at the building working. That's what he does.
Well, my commitment is a time commitment on Sunday mornings, and I do value, and it is a community outreach project. But that means now I have the opportunity to go back and watch the services. And so my second question I'll ask, but I have a sort of a tangent here. So recently, after I think it was like the third or fourth week, back in was it summer, early fall when you started this?
Yes, late September.
Something magical happened.
Oh, yeah.
Something really magical happened, and it was a surprise to one of the main participants. And so I want to talk about that because I'm so bummed I wasn't there.
That was good.
Wow.
That was good.
Yeah. Well, Nate, let me share this with you, right? I am a licensed ordained minister. I'm licensed through the state of Virginia to do weddings. You don't have to be licensed to do a funeral or baptism. No.
Let's make sure we clear that up. You don't have to be licensed.
You don't have to be licensed. Anyone, because you don't have to sign the death certificates. You know what I mean?
Some might equate a wedding.
The mortician does that.
Yeah, the mortician does that.
Some might call a wedding license the same thing as a death certificate.
Well, you do die to yourself and become 2 in 1. So that is good. That is good.
The way you and John were telling me the other day, that's what it was. Him and John at the house meeting the other day.
Yeah.
We won't say that because this is live. So I don't want y'all's wives to hear this, Tracy and Carol.
Yeah, but you know what? That was a great experience during that season. I say a season because I had great time that we sat, myself, Kelly Wysocki and Jesse Wysocki, we sat down, and it's the 7 steps towards marriages. We was able to sit down and do some counseling and talk about some things prior to that. But again, because of the COVID, the coronavirus, everything, within that particular day, it got shift from time to time, from place to location, but Jesse, fiance, now wife, she came to me, in secret, and she said, "Hey, Walt, I want to make this happen." I said, "You want to make what happen?" She said, I want to go ahead and get married. I mean, Jessica gonna say yes. I said, "I know you're gonna say yes. We was waiting for you to say yes. We waiting for you to pick the date." She said, well, let's do it next Sunday. I said, well, how about this Sunday? This is our first service that we're gonna have at Breaking the Bondage of Addiction. All you gotta do just put on your gown, your robe, whatever you want, and just come from the back, and I'll make sure someone sing us. I mean, we planned it to a T. And and at that time, Jesse, he being part of staff and want to be part of the service, and and just his participation, he didn't have a clue. All he did,
No idea.
He
That's
looked
true.
up and saw his daughter, and then he saw Kelly, his kids, and he was trying to help me serve, the community through service, and his daughter running around, and he trying to get his daughter when Kelly wasn't nowhere around, so he was going to leave off the pulpit at the time. I'm like, no, Jesse, come here. And I pointed to the guy who sung a song, and he said a few things. Then he started yelling, "When we get married," he sung a song, "When we get married." And Jesse looked at me. I said, Jesse, he said,
I still had no idea what was going on.
I said, this is for you, Jesse. Jesse said, for me? I said, yeah, look what's coming down. All of a sudden, Jesse looked down and he saw Kelly walking towards him. He was like, is that for me? Yeah, so that was a great time. That was a great moment of the first wedding here at Breaking the Bondage of Addiction Ministry at the Mission Foundation. Like I say, John, he opened up the door, he's on the no ways that anything, to help the community of people, to show hope, that two recovering person can come through the machine. Because his wife one time was a participant here, and Jesse being on staff.
No,
he wasn't on staff at that time.
Long before
Just
we
to
met.
clarify. Yeah. Make sure I say that. But just a connection, and just to have a place at the machine that everybody's welcome, and great things, wonderful things happen, and for that wedding even to happen during that service. And again, I'm licensed to do things like that, man. Because immediately after that service that Monday, we went down to Chesterfield to the courthouse and got all the paperwork and signed it and made sure it was legal. But that was a great experience. Yes, it was.
Yeah, it was cool. It was they definitely got me.
Yeah,
They got me.
Are we opening the doors now for more surprise weddings? That we just gonna have people showing up in wedding gowns?
Completely up to the minister over there.
Yeah.
It was cool. It definitely was. It was great. I loved it. Definitely surprised.
Yeah.
And I definitely want to make sure. I want to clarify that again. Long before I started working here.
Yeah.
Was she here? Go on.
Yeah.
I'm already seeing the comments.
Yeah. Shoot the preacher.
So I would like to pivot if you don't mind. I have a question about, so you've already mentioned that you guys are in a sponsor-sponsee relationship through a 12-step fellowship. I realize anonymity is the spiritual foundation of those fellowships. But obviously you're open to talking about this. How does that work for you guys working together? How does that work for you guys? As far, you've known each other a while now. How do you utilize your sponsor, Jesse?
Well, I definitely, I think what makes it work for me, and I don't necessarily know about Walt, but what makes it work for me, and is I've learned over, I've been around, 12-step and the recovery realm of things for, I don't know, like 15 plus years, probably 20 years. I think the first time I went to an NA meeting, any 12-step meeting, I was maybe 18, 19 years old. But when this relationship started blossoming, the one thing that's important to me is I still have a want and a need to learn from Walt on that level, right? On the realm of how do I stop using drugs? How do I recover? How do I become a better man, a better father? I always make it a point to never lose that, when that's lost, because I've sponsored a lot of people in the 12-step realm of things, and they've lost their, for some reason, like their drive to want to learn from me. Not that Walt's the end all say all for me, right? Because I've learned that, we get the message through everybody. But I still have that level of respect, and I'll still continue to go to him for advice and guidance. And that's what helps me with my relationship. I make sure I keep that up front, when it's there's times where we'll call and we'll be like, all right, this is just strictly work. You know, I'm talking about work. That's it. You know, and I keep it like that. Or there's times where, you know, it will call and it's like, we know, you know, hey, it's just what's going on. You know, just some recovery stuff we're talking about, you know, and we're able to, you know, keep that relationship going. You know, that's how it works for me. And I don't know, you know, because I guess you could say I'm his, I don't know, I'm his boss in the work world. You know, so, you know, for me, being able to still respect Walt and go for him for guidance is what I keep up front. You know, and I also utilize my boss, honesty, you know, so we do what's called staff check-ins here.
Mhm.
And, you know, and me and Honesty were talking one day and I was like, well, you're going to do them with Walt. You know, or we're not really telling her. She's like, well, you want to do them with Walt? And probably better if you do it with Walt. You check in with him and see how it's going. So we utilize that. That kind of helps it create some balance at work. I don't know, Walt, what, you know, how do you do? Walt's worked for his sponsor before, so he's got some experience with this type of stuff. This is I've had a couple. The job before here, I was an HR director, and I hired a couple sponsees, you know, that worked there, and we were able to still keep that relationship, you know, going. I still sponsor one of the guys to this day. He's doing real good. You know, I think it's just a matter of, I hate to say it, but it's like respect. Like, it's just a matter of respect. Do I respect the relationship that we have? And I respect my sponsorship relationship with Walt, you know, and I think he respects my relationship as his, you know, whatever, boss. I don't really like the word boss too much, but, you know.
I need to do one today, Walt, is what Honesty says right there in the comments. She says it.
Is that what she said?
She
I
said it
need
right
to do one today. Well, you got it, supervisor. Yeah. But Jesse, he hit it on the nail. You know, it's called respect. You know, and that's one of the spiritual principles that, you know, I practice in all my affairs. You know, I respect titles. I respect positions. You know, and after having 15 years of military experience, you know, when I first went in the military, I mean, it's this little young college kid, you know, who's telling me what to do. And I had to respect his rank, you know, his position of authority. You know, whether I respect him or not, I had to respect the position that he was in. You know, so you know, many conversations, just bringing me in, and you know, the roles has played over the last 3 to 4 years I've been here. You know, and each time the role switch, you know, it was always Jesse, you know, that found what was best used, how he could best use me for the agency, the work with the people. And so I always respect the level of care he had for the people within the agency. Not that he was using me but he always ran things by me. Walt, what do you think about doing one-on-ones? Walt, we're going to switch from a group. It's like he never came with me with the supervision authority. You going to do this. You know, he laid it down and said, well, what hours can you work? You know, so he made me feel part of the relationship opposed to monopolizing it, you know, or micromanaging the relationship. You know, working in this field of substance abuse and addiction, I never had that supervisor who micromanaged what I have done. They always watch my character that comes within my job and trust my character to get the job done. You know, and so Jesse, he's always been that in this work field, opposed to our relationship, you know, as sponsees, you know, and just like everybody, when you first begin to sponsor someone, you know, they're very needy in the beginning. You know, we sit down and I tell you, man, it's like this guy, he asks questions, you know, he come with the highlighter, you know, he has his ink pen, he has the basic text, he has the dictionary, he has a notepad, you know, and we pray, you know, and we begin to do the step work and we read together. You know, we search, we unpack stuff together. There has never been a time I said, go do it and come back. You know, I said, just show up and we sit down, we build that relationship towards we trust. And the respect that we have established in the sponsee relationship, you know, because that's a two-way street. It's the same respect that we have established here that I have established with him here in the workplace, because it's a two-way street. It's something that he see in me that he know that the participant can receive. And I trust him when he say, well, we're going to go from one-on-one to group. you can reach more in a group setting. Now we're going to bring the spiritual part because I see you walking in that limelight. So we're going to bring that in here. So him being my supervisor here is like, I just always respect his direction for the agency and what he has seen. The same way he have respect, the 25 years of recovery that the community speaks about Walter. Not just Jesse, because I'm the same person wherever I go, but it's that level of respect, and realizing the hats that we wear and respect the role. Because even being a pastor, a preacher, a minister here at the Mission, the community of people here respect that role when that brings it, as well as me being the clinician on a Saturday, they respect that role. Stars and end with respect. So thanks for identifying with that.
And Nathan, to add to that, because it's a really good question, because it's almost like when you work somewhere and you got like your dad and your son working together, like how do you manage those roles? One thing I've learned to do over time as well is I'm a big team player. Like I love teams. That's just how I was coming up. Played football, played basketball. We have team captains, quarterback of the team, point guard of the team, whatever, that type of stuff. And I believe in communicating with my team. So it was never the decision for Walt to start working here was never like me just going and calling up Walt and say, hey, Walt, come work. It was like a collective decision with my administrator. Like, we sat down and we talked about it, and, we made, I made sure that I had people that would hold me accountable as well. That helps with the relationship too. I got John and Honesty, and we come together and we'll talk about stuff. We hold each other accountable. Sometimes it's not the most, I guess, the nicest times. Sometimes we get mad at each other. Sometimes we cry. Sometimes we laugh. All that stuff happens in our meetings. But the bottom line is we want to do what Walt said. We want to help the participants. How can we best help our community here? And that's the goal here. And then I'll usually bring that stuff back to the team, to the rest of the team, and I'll get feedback from them. Like, hey, how y'all think so-and-so is doing, or should we do this, or who should we bring on? I mean, I'm pretty sure that's something that I practice
absolutely
with the team. And then, because I believe in that approach, I really do. And that's what helps hold me accountable. So I'm not treating anybody differently, if that makes sense.
No, it makes a lot of sense. Yeah. I mean, to observe, as objective as I can be as a member of the team, but to observe the relationship, I'm grateful to have, both of you, and I'm grateful that you have that personal connection, as well. I think, it was suggested to me that my recovery and my work needs to be separate, and yet I found my recovery at where I work. So there is always going to be a recovery it's always going to be a connection here, and I'm okay with that. I'm okay with that, and I love that I'm able to benefit and not feel an outsider. The two of you have obviously been connected for a long time, and I don't feel an outsider. I feel brought in, and I think that connects with our participants as well. That bring in, come on, we can help, and I love that about the way this works. So
yeah. One thing about a good leader, and I want to say this, especially here at the Mission, and working with John and working with Jesse, and even Honesty, she has that go Jesus spirit sometimes. That's an inside joke. Me, Honesty, have. But a good leader is the art of influencing others. A good leader is the art of influencing others to work together to accomplish a common goal or mission. And once you find out the mission of an agency, how do I get everybody else to participate, not on what I want to do, but what's the mission of the agency? And that's what I found a lot of time, even when Jesse brought me on board. It's not because you're my sponsor. It's not because you've been clean 21 years at that time. It's not because you this preacher, because we didn't even bring, the theological aspects of me being here at that time. It's because I just believe, Walter, that you could come on board because of what we work, that you also could help the mass. We also do that when we have sponsorship family meetings. The majority at one time is like, I have about 8 or 9 sponsees come, and then Jesse had about 6 or 7, but now it's like Jesse got about 15 of his sponsees, and I got about 3 of mine because they're not as needed.
he's trying to field a football team. So.
Yeah. No,
he's got the basketball team with his
I
kids.
was getting ready to say I got enough kids. I got.
Oh, we ain't counting the second screen. That's a kid. No, but Jesse just have that leadership quality that he's able to influence others, to work together. So coming in, working with Jesse on you guys' team, and now I'm part of the team. I look at me, got my own shirt, my logo on, and
That's
all
right.
that great stuff,
That's
man.
right.
I just feel connected, man. It's like, I'm glad he bought me. Yeah, you need to jump on board. Todd even got it. There you go. I'm at the
We all got our
cameraman.
McShin shirts.
Oh, you went in. All right.
I got it on my arm.
Yeah, I receive it. Yeah, but Jesse just that type of guy.
Get your
man.
Queen John to buy that for you.
Yeah. But I think, Jesse, that we are able, to separate the relationship at the same time, practice the respect. And that will make I believe that's what make it work with me and Jesse, just the respect.
Yeah, and it's to the. I mean, we just to because you're in the 12-step realm of things. So imagine. Like this is where the respect for me goes with Walt. And I'm not just saying this like to give any toot Walt's horn or anything. So I bring Walt into my house to do marriage counseling. Like so, imagine your sponsor coming in and counseling you and your significant other, right? I had to have enough trust, in him. And one thing I know is like. In the work realm of things, I'm a straight shooter and like I'm gonna hold people accountable. That's just something I'm gonna do. It don't matter who it is, Tom, Joe, Jill, Joanne. It don't matter. I'm gonna hold them accountable. That's a trait that I've got. And one thing I know about Walt, and when it comes to recovery, he's not gonna be by part. He's not gonna be on my side or Kelly's side. Like he's gonna. What side is right, and to have that level of trust and respect, I'm grateful for that relationship, and I feel like we have it here as a team as well, not just with me and Wallace, it's with all of us, so that's another beautiful thing that we're able to accomplish and do here.
Yeah.
Well, there's a specific class or group that you do on Saturdays.
Oh yeah, that's right.
Yeah.
And I'm actually really keen to at some point to sit in on that. I might do that this weekend. I'll be manager on duty. Talk about that if you will, if you don't mind.
It's funny, Nathan. There's so many people that want to sit in on that, and it's like I tell them they'll ask to sit in. I'm like, well, it's not like a privilege. It's not something like you're supposed to be happy to go sit in on.
Well, it's a relapse prevention class.
Mhm.
And one thing I try to bring to their awareness is that relapse is part of recovery. If you belong to a 12-step program, if you look at page 84, it talks about recovery and relapse. So that means it happens. It don't have to happen to you. But there was a certain level of experience that you was able to capture. So let's talk about the experience that you're gonna bring to the group. We're not here to beat you up, to tear you down. The shame is if you have stayed out there. Now that you have come back. So let's empower the ones who hear what has happened to you so it don't happen to them. So I always try to find the strength, because they come in with their head down. It's supposed to be a punishing thing. But, during the first session of my teaching, I got a 4-week teaching that I do during the relapse prevention, with that group as they was go out, because we are the greatest advertisement for anything. So if I can empower change and within the first session, it'll go out and it'll talk to the rest of the community to let them know, look, man, you can get help. You come here. You may be coming here because it was something that you have done, one of your character defects, you act that out on, but you're going to get help. And the second thing, my objective in this relapse prevention group is to help them to see that picking up was the last thing you done. So within this group, I make sure I help them to identify what was the trigger. Something trigger your thought, because there's a trigger thought and then you start craving, and then you use. So let's go all the way back and identify what was your trigger. You know, most of us know in the 12-step model, it's always people, places, and things that could be your trigger. So let's identify what your trigger is. You know, now you picked up Friday night, but you could have been relapsed last
Tuesday. Happened way before that.
Way
right?
before that.
Yeah.
You know, and to help them to go back. You know, and one of the greatest things that I know that the awareness kick in is when we begin to go back and they see their self coming. They could go back and put their finger on, wow, whoa, you know what I mean? So the enlightening that they receive, the awareness, that spiritual awakening that take place in the group, and then I look at them watch out different than the way they came. You know, that's what I think the excitement about coming to the relapse prevention group that Walt have. It's not like, quote unquote, Jesse say, you've been punished. Now go to church on Sunday.
Yeah. And you know, it's funny, Walt, because I try to when we talk about that, like when it gets to a point where somebody's, you know, whether they're getting on contract or they're being asked to go to the group, it's like we explain to them, like, you know what, we know you're upset, you know, and you don't want to do this, and you're frustrated. I was like, but it ain't gonna do nothing but help you.
That's right.
Like, it's not gonna harm you. Like this, there's like you, for instance, there's people that want to go just sit in a group just to go get some recovery.
Yeah.
You know, so I like,
Yes.
and then you're not, there's plenty of people asked to do it.
Yeah.
And so, you know, it's help or harm. That's the stuff we weigh around here. Like, are we harming or are we helping? And, you know, and I can bet every one of my paychecks that every move we make is to help.
Yeah.
You know, it really is.
Can you explain to the viewers and the listeners what the contract, you said about putting them on contract? Can you explain what that is so people would know? You know?
Yeah, definitely. So typically what'll happen is if there's a behavior issue, a reoccurrence of use, we'll call them in to sit down, and we do what's called a recovery plan assessment. And that'll happen with, typically it's either myself and the women's program director, Jillian Nye, or Morris Baton, the men's program director, and maybe another, you know, usually we have a couple staff members will sit in, and just so we can kind of like gauge what's going on. We'll talk to the participant that's had, you know, either a reoccurrence of use or behavior issue. And after we talk to them, then we'll sit down and we'll kind of talk. And our goal is to figure out the best plan in place to help them. Like, how can we help them? You know, is it whether they go to recovery relapse, or do they got to get a meeting sheet, or do they need to verify a sponsor? Do they need to find a pathway to recovery? Do they need to do a writing assignment? You know, what can we do to try to help the recovery? Because that's all it is. It's not a punishment. It's not a consequence, but it's always looked at it as that. And, you know, and it's for 30 days. So that means they're monitored for those 30 days. And if any kind of infraction happens, then we'll deal with it within those 30 days. But, you know, it in that we always usually ask that you go to recovery relapse and do the relapse prevention with Walt. Yeah. And so sometimes Walt will get an uptick of people coming, and sometimes he'll get a low amount of people coming. But you know, the goal with that contract, Todd, and anybody out there listening, if whether you're a participant or just a viewer, man, the goal is really, we want to help. We ultimately do. We're trying to catch. Sometimes we're trying to catch before the reoccurrence of use happens, because you might not have you might just been a behavior issue, you know, or we're trying to catch it before you go back to prison, you know, before you die. Because, you know, that's what's happening to a lot of people out there. And it's been happening for a long time, you know, but that's the main thing, help or harm. You know, I do a class about that. I try to tell the participants, you know, think about this. You know, you're here. You need to find out who's harming you, who's helping you. You know, are we harming you when we tell you probably shouldn't have your phone in group? You know, are we helping you? Are we harming you when we tell you probably should go to a meeting or find a pathway to recovery? You know, are we helping you? Help or harm? You know, and that's what we try to do with these contracts.
You just said something that are we harming you? Speaking specifically of phones, right? This is a bit of a tangent here, but this relates to me specifically. I have a people-pleasing tendency. You probably don't know that. You probably know that. And it you know, it was very difficult for me to hold people accountable early on. And so at some point I recognized that I'm actually harming by not holding people accountable. So when does that when does that shift occur for people? Do you have any sort of idea? Because being in this position, working here now, I've had to make that shift, obviously. And I still struggle with that shift, but it becomes easier. I mean, I was a house leader for a long time, so it became a lot easier. And I got respect for it, I think, eventually. But when does that shift occur? Do you have any thoughts on that? I mean,
as far as like a time frame, I have no idea. Well, I have no idea when that shift occurs. When you go from saying, it's probably good for me to call my brother on his stuff, because that's basically what you're asking. You finally went through that shift. When did it happen for you? That would be the goalpost, right? I know, like for me, I always look back over my life, and like my mom was like the biggest one with this. Right. And, I love my mom to death. I'm a mama's boy, so all my active using and riffing and running the streets, she was what, we call here in the recovery realm of things, my biggest enabler. Mm-hmm. I could call her up. I could call her up and say, hey, can I get $20 for this? She would give me $20, and when I was able to when the roles were reversed for me and I became a parent, is when I guess it really started to set in with me, like, man, like, do I want, I need to hold my kids accountable, and that helped me, with maybe that shift, that mindset, but I think it's really something you can just, I hate this because I don't want to say it's common sense, because it's not common sense.
Well,
right.
Let me say this, Jesse, and to go back to the taking of the cell phone when a participant come into a place where they need to learn. It was in 1992 when I went through treatment, and the therapist had told me then.
Long time ago, right?
Yeah, it was
no cell phones. Did they have phones?
No, we had pagers. We had pagers. But it wasn't about the cell phone. It was about staying disconnected from what's going on in the outside world.
Yeah.
I was in treatment at that time. It was supposed to be 32 days, ended up being a 4 to 6 day program because my insurance was able to pay longest extent. But I think that's very important, when the participant comes here, to leave that connection to the outside world alone. Especially when you're in the tense part, you got like 28 days. There's so much information, that need to be poured into, to unlearn, so you could relearn, in order to apply that you learn, and within that day, there's the first 28 days, to try to worry about what's going on with your parents or your kids or, a job that is like, it's too much going on or that had to take place. So to disconnect from the outside, or at least to limit it as much as possible. Yeah. I think that's a great thing you guys do to take away their cell phone, enabling people, codependency, we comes with those issues when it come down to family members, and sometimes we don't know where to break that line at. So to have that in place, that's just a form of structure, because we have to realize we are here at the machine. We are a society within a society within a society. So that's growth. You're doing for them what they're not willing to do for themselves. I like that.
Yeah. I mean, it's always tough, Nathan and Walt, and just to hold somebody holding people accountable is tough. Yeah. It's that shift of when it happens. I really don't know. I know there's still some days where I don't want to hold people accountable because I don't want to deal with the mouth or the aftermath of having to do that. But I always go back to like, is this real? Am I helping or harming?
Yeah.
Sometimes because I just don't want to deal with the headache of arguing with Cam. It's
way to throw under the bus.
It's 30 minutes past his. Look, he goes to bed. I tell him to go to bed at 9:30, and it's 10 o'clock, and the video game's still on. And I know if I go in there, it's gonna be an argument. My bed's a little bit more comfortable. Like sometimes the truth is, sometimes I just go to sleep. Yeah. You know what I mean? I'm supposed to be holding him accountable. I'm his dad, right? So there's some times where I don't want to hold people accountable too. I get it, man. It's tough, man. you know, and in my heart, I am harming them, you know.
Yeah.
I was looking at it the other day, and I was like, man, I need to tighten up with this.
Yeah.
So now I went in there and I said, you know what, Cam? No, you going to bed at 9:30.
How old is Cam?
He's just turned. He was turning 12.
Yeah,
turned
so
12 on the 20th.
When the pain gets great enough, right?
Yeah.
For you and for him,
Yeah,
you know, eventually, like,
there you go.
why can't I perform during the day?
Yeah.
Oh, and you know
Yeah.
what? I'll know because what'll happen is I'll get home from work and he's sleeping. He's knocked out. He's tired, and I'm like, what the heck? And it's because he stayed up all night and he had school the next day.
And he's at school at home too.
Yeah,
isn't
he's
he?
doing the homeschool, and I don't even want to talk about it. That's like the worst thing ever for kids. I need to write to my senators about this one or whoever. It's the worst, and I don't know who's got kids, but my son's got an F in 2 different grades, and he's good in school, you know, but just virtually it is hard. It's tough. You know, so imagine us in recovery. You know, we got kids struggling, us in recovery struggling. You know, that virtual stuff is no joke. So
yeah.
I don't even know how we got to talking about that.
Yeah. It was in you, man.
Yeah. Well, you know, I
You should have called your sponsor.
I didn't tell you what I did though. Well, I got Cam. I got him because you know the COVID world has been having everybody for the most part, you know, not being able to go out socially. Yeah. And for a kid, it's real important. So I finally you know, got to my wit's end with this. Like, I got to do something. You know, he ain't gonna sit in there and play video games all day. And I signed him up for this. Agility and speed training. So every Tuesday he goes to it, you know, and yesterday was his first day there and he was fighting it. He's like, oh, I'm not gonna like it. I don't want to go. I'm you know, and he beats himself up. He's like, I'm fat, you know, and he's an athlete, you know, and I got him there and then he loved it. So it was good.
But you did tell me. You didn't tell me what happened yesterday.
Yeah,
well, you do talk to your sponsor, man. I'm your sponsor,
we
Jesse.
We talk a lot. I learned that early on in my recovery that this is what I learned, Nathan. Yeah. I learned that when I talk to him, I'm actually saving his life. So it gave me more of a like ego booster to call him.
Yes,
save this dude's life. So I'm gonna call him and
keep me accountable. That's right.
I talked to my sponsor, and the first thing he says is, "Have you prayed about it?" I'm like, "Oh, yeah."
Yes, I prayed earlier. Now I'm talking to you.
Yeah,
now.
I'm talking to God. Told me to talk to you.
Yeah, look.
No, see, the problem is for me is that often it's like, no, I haven't yet. So I'm still butting heads there. Do you know that you can just flip the Wi-Fi off at the house too?
Yes, yeah.
I used to do that at Chamberlain when I was house leader over there.
Oh, y'all don't want to listen to me?
The switch, just
I took the box out of the house.
You should hear my son in the other room playing a video game. It's this. All I can hear is it's lagging. It's lagging. Oh, the internet sucks. The internet sucks. Like he's yelling at his friends on the thing, and every couple hours, it's like the internet sucks over here. They say, I think he says the internet's Dollar General. That's what he told me one day. Where you get this internet from? Dollar General? I was like, what? What are you talking about?
Back in my
I
day,
pay
it was
$100 a month for this internet. What do you mean it's Dollar General?
I still have screwed up credit from the $3.99 an hour that AOL was back in the mid '90s when I had my
AOL.
Oh my gosh, were you paying for an hour for dial-up? I think it was it was $1.99, $3.99, something like that.
And you were waiting about an hour for the download.
Yeah.
So.
Right. Oh, yeah. No, we were running 18 hours a day on that stuff. I mean, literally screwed up my credit when I was 18 years old, 19 years old.
The flip phones where you got to flip up and hit the button to connect, and it took forever.
Yeah.
It's definitely things have definitely changed technology wise, you know, and it's for the better for some stuff. It definitely is. You definitely can be reached more. You can reach more people, like what we're doing right now. You're able to reach more people. Recovery. You know, the spiritual service is live streamed. This is live streamed. Todd, and correct me if I'm wrong. All this goes into the jail, right?
Yes.
This stuff.
Yeah. So we have, and actually, Honesty just came out with those numbers, or she emailed.
Yeah, I seen it. It was spiked. It's like really good. Like they're really watching it.
Yeah, I guess it's through PayTel now. So this is like, I'm in Hagerstown, and he runs a recovery home up there, and Frederick, Maryland. I'm sorry. And he said, you know, he had actually sent me a message one night and it showed me a screenshot. I guess he got an email from inside the jail from one of the guys that's there, and he said that he was able to. He's like, I got to watch all this great content from this place called the Machine Foundation down in Richmond. So
you know, now that you said, I got a letter. I got a letter the other day from and it was directed to me from some guy in North Carolina, and he's like, I was watching y'all's content on the on their little tablet they get, and he was like, I seen you in there, and he had some of the content wrong, because he was like, yeah, I seen how you were at McShin one day and you got John to come to court for you, and I never went through McShin, so I knew he had me mixed up with somebody else. But the point is that he's actually seeing the content, and he wrote he wrote me a letter, and he was like, I want to, how can I get into McShin? What can I do to get here? I was able to see y'all's y'all's groups and y'all's classes, and it was great. So that's cool, man, because the goal is we want to reach everybody we can and help everybody we can.
Wow. That's right. That's and cool. You know what? This is biblical. And I love doing spiritual service.
Biblical. Okay.
Yeah. This is biblical. Jesus' ministry was on a 30-mile rating. But what he said was greater work that we'll be able to do. And look how we are doing greater work. I mean, we are reaching more, than we have ever reached. Just listen to the conversation you saying, we're able to sit here and go inside institution of confinements and bring about a word of change. So yeah, this is great, man. Yeah,
it definly is.
It is.
Wow. Walt called John Moses the other day. I told him, I said, don't do that.
well, let me explain why I called John Moses, man. Moses had a speech impediment. He could, but he used Aaron and he used Joshua. As a matter of fact, Moses didn't get into the promised land. But Joshua and Aaron, they was able to carry the kids out of Egypt to this promised land. And I look at John as being that type of Moses. He come up with this great organization, and look at all the miracles that take place here. But he need the honesty, and he needed Jesse, to move the mission. He created it, he come up with it, but he need these other pieces that make it happen.
This is good.
You know what I mean?
I call Walt, and I'm fussing, and his answer to me is John is Moses. Now go do his work. It's like, what the hell?
yeah, man. I mean, you think about it, man.
You and honesty go do his work.
Yeah, and y'all are doing great things. I just can't imagine, that day, that when Moses, he stepped down, and I can imagine that day when John, stepped down, because it's going to happen. But to watch how things is happening in John's presence, and he received it, he received the way you guys carrying on the mission. Because look, I'm at the age of 55, and you guys, y'all in y'all 40s and 30s, and and be able to carry on this mission, man, it's amazing. So I know John, when that time come and he can retire, I think he's gonna be at rest. But right now, I know he just got some more. He got a little more energy, so we gotta hold up Moses' arms a little longer while he hold up the staff. You know what I mean? So he don't spike the rock.
John retiring. That's a funny idea.
It's gonna happen, man. But I know when that day comes, you guys are doing great work here at the McShin Foundation, and of course, you could tell with the turnaround with the consumer you serve. Y'all doing great work, man. Keep up doing what you're doing, man.
Well, we're right around just under the hour mark here. Any final thoughts? Anything that we haven't covered that you want to bring up?
Well, at Breaking the Bondage of Addiction Ministry, that day gonna come that we are really gonna be able to open back up to the community, and draw more community-based people, or quote unquote, normal people to come in, but based on what you guys have entrusted in me, to come into the McShin, and not just on the Sunday, the work I do, but the work I do as a whole, I just feel honored, I feel humble, to bring a ministry in to we are really trying to enlighten, empower, and equip individuals with the word of God concerning addictive behaviors. To have that 12-step model and the biblical based principle all in one setting, and watch how the people receive it. Because if you go to other 12-step programs, they can't shout out Jesus and hallelujah and thank you, God, just, the restriction and breaking tradition. But here, again, our Moses, our John, the team that sat together and said, well, let's bring that here. You guys, y'all had it at one time a couple of years ago. Another participant, Matthew, he had bought the same group, and this time to allow me to bring in with a little different twist, but the same thing is not like that. It was, I'm just recreating something that was here one time before. I just want to tell you guys, I'm honored that y'all brought me in the ministry is going forth and the great level of support behind the ministry, that the McShin Foundation is breaking the bondage of addiction, help to empower people's life. Thank you guys for that, man. Thank you guys for that.
Glad.
Yeah.
Thank you for being here. Sorry, Jesse.
No. I just we're honored to have it. I know I am. I love it. It's great. To have that extra added level of care for our participants, for our community. Because it's open to everybody. Anybody can come.
Yes.
Any walk of life. Come on in and try to get your spirit fed.
Yeah.
It's a wonderful thing. I love it. I'm glad it's happening.
Yeah.
And I can't wait till the day when COVID has been I don't know, arrested. I don't know what the word
arrested. I know that
right?
what you mean. Yeah. That's a great word.
and it's able for us to open the doors up to more people. Because we try to follow the CDC guidelines. Even though we could argue that but we don't have to for something like that. We try to follow it. Definitely. Face masks. And all that stuff in place. I'm grateful for the live feed. But there's nothing like that community of people getting together and getting the spirit fed. And seeing and hearing different people speak. Something Walt has done with this, which is pretty cool that he's allowed people to do, is celebrate. So they can come celebrate their recovery.
Yes.
So if somebody's coming up on a year, 2 years, and they're affiliated here at McShin, they can use it as a platform to celebrate their recovery.
Yes.
Somebody's coming, I think, this Sunday to celebrate.
7 years.
One of our weekend staff that works here at McShin. So Michael Edwards, he'll be celebrating his 7th year, and Walt gives them a platform to get recognized.
Yes.
And I think that's pretty cool. It's just so cool that the things that we're allowing the participants, the community to be a part of. So it's cool to watch it come into fruition. I'm grateful to be a part of it myself, and I'm really just grateful for what we're doing here at McShin. I love it. I love what I do. Right. I don't wake up dreading to go to work. And that's pretty cool.
That's great.
It's pretty damn cool. So
So what I'm hearing from what you just said, Jesse, is that there will be donuts on Sunday.
Chat and chew.
You caught that earlier on. Honestly, praise Jesus. I see you. There's going to be donuts.
Chat and chew. Chat and chew. There you go. Donuts and coffee before the service.
I'm all about the donuts.
I'm here this weekend. I'm actually, I got to be here at 8 a.m. conducting a training. So I'll bring some donuts.
Chat and chew.
Todd, any final thoughts here?
Good.
So everybody watching, make sure tomorrow you tune in again at 2 p.m. We will be back on with Richmond's best cast. Get in the herd. Sponsored by the McShin Foundation. We'll be on tomorrow at 2. I know that there is a lot going on in the world right now. Virginia's General Assembly just resumed in session today. Wow. There's a lot on the docket. I 30 days. We got a lot of stuff, and I know they're pushing for some stuff that could really have a profound effect on the work that we do here. So stay tuned. We'll be addressing that tomorrow and days coming forward here at Get in the Herd. So thank you, Todd. Thank you, Walt, for being here.
Thanks for
and of
having
course,
me.
thank you, Jesse.
All right. Yep.
Woo, woo, woo.
Here at McShin, we believe in the McShin way, which is authentic recovery support service providers, people with lived experience, bringing that experience to those who need that lived experience in recovery.
Here at McShin, we believe in many things to support our mission. We believe in women empowerment.
What I love most about what we believe here at McShin is we believe in the authenticity of the peer-to-peer approach.
Here at the McShin Foundation, we believe in giving people opportunity.
Here at McShin, we believe in the inherent worth and dignity of every person.
At the McShin Foundation, we believe in helping people reach their full potential.
Here at the McShin Foundation, we believe in multiple pathways to recovery.
Here at McShin, we believe in placing principles before personalities to help spread hope.
Here at McShin, we believe that recovery is possible and that any person seeking recovery can become a more acceptable, responsible, and productive member of society.
Here at the McShin Foundation, we believe in self-discovery.
Here at McShin, we believe in saving lives and offering second chances.
Here at McShin, we believe you can do this.
Here at the McShin Foundation, we believe that we can only keep what we have by giving away, which is why we continue to help others like us seek and find recovery.
We'll get there soon. We'll get there soon. We could be any place. We'll get there soon. We'll get there soon.